We've thrown the word content around, obviously, when everyone understands what we're talking about. And here we are. And one of the other things I noticed is you've been on a lot of podcasts. You're spending a lot of time putting your story out there, sharing this, because you realize that there could be someone that hears it. Maybe I hear it, maybe my business partner, one person. It doesn't take much. And all of a sudden you're out there, and Perry Marshall was on it. He's like, it's a lot easier when people hear about you and they reach out to you as opposed to you trying to reach out to them. The sale is going to happen much faster, or there's just a connection in general. When you started appearing on podcasts and you started putting yourself out there, why? Like, did I just say it for you? I mean, what has been the experience for you of appearing on podcasts?
Well, I think if you put yourself out there as an expert, you have a responsibility to get your message out. I think one thing that surprises authors, and a lot of people write books, a lot of people want to write books, but I think what surprises people who get a book done is how little your publisher does to get the word out about your book. You put all this time into getting a book done, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
So you really have a responsibility because there's so much content being pushed out. You have to become part of that stream of content and make sure that, hey, you got to kind of be seen everywhere. So it's kind of the philosophy of Facebook advertising, kind of be seen as many ways as you possibly can. I happen to believe that podcasts and interviews are a way to really kind of focus your expertise and demonstrate. So conversation with you and conversations with others allow people to slow down for a minute, even if they're watching us at double speed, which is probably what they do, right? They can still determine hey, Bob kind of knows what he's talking about. I want to pick up his book. Or, hey, I read his book and now I just heard him on this podcast. I should really invest in his training. Or Bob's probably the guy that I need to talk to turn my Facebook account around. So it's my responsibility to I can write a book and I could sit back and go, I did that. But if I'm going to make an impact, I've got to push. I've got to get my word out. So yeah, part of it is, it's a grind to do interviews. I enjoy talking. All right. It's not like I'm gritting my teeth doing these. I enjoy conversation. So part of that is, I chose a method that works for me, but I'm doing LinkedIn prospecting. I'm running some paid ads. I'm doing some YouTube stuff. So I'm taking a responsibility for what's been given to me. And if I want to share my information, I have to run strategies that will make sure that it gets seen. It's my responsibility.
Yeah. I think that's awesome how you say it's your responsibility to put it out there. And I mean, personally, I learn a lot from it. I get to have a conversation with you, and I've said this many times. If no one listens to it, selfishly speaking, I got to learn from it. My team gets to listen to it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, there will be other people that hear it. And to me, that's fascinating to say, I can bring this conversation to someone else and maybe they can take something from it. Maybe it's a client, maybe it's a friend, family member, who knows? But in those stories too, and in those conversations, you learn a lot. You learn about other people and ways to, things I can discover. I never thought of it that way. And I can go kind of down that path a little bit. And no, I agree with you. There's so much that can come from those conversations. And it's also because I could go listen to someone appear on a podcast, and this isn't bad, and they can talk about their book. They can almost summarize their book, and that's great, right? And then I can go more in depth if I want to continue reading that book. But that person that wrote it, you wrote this book, there's so much else that's out there. There's depths that you couldn't even gone into in that book, perhaps, unless it was a memoir. Those introspective conversations that we try to have, that we get to have with someone like yourself, I think that allows for anyone that will listen to it to understand more about how they think about the way things are, about in and around their business and their industry and how they got there. Maybe not necessarily origin stories, although that could be a part of it too. That's a fascination to say, wow, this is someone that I could spend some time with. We had someone that we did a podcast with, and a conversation ended up being 90 minutes long, and he was done and he loved the conversation. He came out, he's like, I think that podcast is too long. And business partner goes to him, he's like, do you realize that you're asking people to spend, this is the business that they're in. He works with CEOs and they spend a day per month in a room from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock a day. So if they can't handle you for 90 minutes, I don't think they're going to handle you for a full day. And they're spending thousands of dollars with you. So if that's too much, and then it's like, well, can this person even carry a conversation? Because we always hear the highlights. And you talked about politics before. I don't want to hear a 2-minute clip with an individual. I don't want to hear the canned response. They're all doing it, right? I get it. But I want to hear them talk for 90 minutes or 60 minutes about a topic and get shooken a little bit and have to go in different directions. They didn't see it coming with, maybe they weren't prepared for that interview. That's who they are. But we get to hear those conversations. I mean, we make mistakes. We have this conversation. I've stuttered this, that, and the other. That's okay. That's just raw conversation. Yeah, natural.
Yeah, obviously with our video company, we do a lot of clips. They're highly edited for those purposes, but there's something to be said about long form conversations that allow you to really go in depth with somebody. So,
well, it allows you to think about it too, right?
Yeah.
And allows you, we pull out clips. So there might be a clip that you talked about something. Let's say we wanted to talk about the social dilemma. What was his reaction to it? And you talked about it for 2 minutes. We can pull that clip and put that out there, and it's just about that specific topic, or it becomes a blog post. And that's the other thing, is that long form conversation, or whatever the form was, can become something smaller, chunk it down. Because I get that too. Some people just want the short snippet. Content Matterz with a Z is our content marketing company that helps entrepreneurs tell their own stories to those who care. And here's the thing. We think every entrepreneur that is willing should have their own content platform. And we want to help make that happen, both by working directly with entrepreneurs and by sharing our own stories, exploring the craft of content marketing. Content Matterz, one piece of content at a time. Learn more at KazContent.com.